Hello, I'm Alex Turk, and you're listening to the Food Systems podcast brought to you by the Forum for the Future of Agriculture. I had the pleasure of talking to keynote speakers and panelists at the forum in Brussels this year. Here's a flavour of some of their insights and ideas for you to enjoy. Well, Fred Buyle joins me now. Welcome to the forum, Fred. You are the Freediving World Record holder, as well as being an explorer and a photographer. I think you hold 4 world records, in fact, for freediving, and you'll be speaking to the forum today as an inspirational speaker on diving for answers. We are, of course, looking at new frontiers in the agri-food system and its transformation. But I wonder if I can start by asking you about freediving, to know how much mindfulness there is behind it, because there's such physiology involved, but it is, of course, a really ancient art.
Yes, totally. So freediving is the most natural way of going under the water and exploring the ocean. People started freediving probably 4,500, 5,000 years ago. With the pearl diver, the sponge divers in the Mediterranean Sea. So it's a very ancient art, and but since after the Second World War it became a sport, and that's how I got into freediving when I was a kid. And so I was an athlete for 10 years, professional freediver, gathering records and competitions. But my true motivation for freediving always been exploring the ocean and meeting its inhabitants, basically. So after I competed, I embarked on the underwater photography journey, and that led me into a lot of different fields.
And if we look at, in the context of today, oceans being the greatest carbon sink and central to reducing greenhouse gas emissions, how important is climate adaptation in your view?
The ocean is, if we lose the ocean, we die. Every form of life on Earth will disappear. Here at the Agricultural Forum, we talk a lot about the land and the land issues, but the ocean faces huge issues. For example, in the last 50 years, we've lost around 90% of the predatory fishes, such as marlin, sharks, tuna. 90%. We don't see it because everything happens under the mirror of the surface. So it's very difficult to quantify and see, but us studying that, we see that going down every year. We have the bleaching of the coral because the acidification of the oceans. So the ocean cannot get that much CO2 anymore. So it's a global issue. Everything is linked. And here my talk is mostly about that, is how do we link the ocean and the land, because we're part of the same planet.
And what will you say to the forum? I mean, what will be the message about how important that link is to mitigate biodiversity loss in all its senses, from the land, the sea, the air?
But all the solution we need to bring to have a better world, we need a systemic approach. We cannot just protect the land and the sea or do policies just for the land and the sea. Everything is connected. If you throw something in a river, it will eventually get into the ocean. We talk about plastic, for example. We see the plastic in the ocean that decomposing in microplastic that get ingested by the fish, eventually by us. So every little thing we do will have consequences. And about agriculture, what we put in the field eventually gets in the ocean as well. So what we put in the field has an impact there. And so everything is very closely linked.
And you must be disappointed when you hear things like seabed mining being announced in the Pacific by the Trump administration. It's difficult to know what that effect would be, but we can say it won't be good.
Yeah, deep sea mining is a thing, but on a personal note, I'm not super afraid about deep sea mining because I think we won't have the resources to be able to do that. In terms of energy, the industry to do deep sea mining to make it profitable at the moment it's impossible to do. So I'm not super stressed about that aspect of the ocean protection, but we should focus more on things we can change, like the fisheries, the way subsidies are used for a big fishing fleet in Europe, for example, and basic things like that, and of course climate change.
And so, Fred, your message is, in fact, that we can all make a difference. We can be more frugal, we can think about unnecessary disturbance. Is that going to be something that you want to voice at the forum today?
Yes, that's what I voiced for 20 years, working closely with scientists and seeing the change on the field when I'm in the ocean. But we can all make a difference, because at the end it's the end consumer that will determine what happens in the food industry. For example, I still have friends that eat meat every day. If you eat meat 3 times a week, the impact will already be huge. So it's things like that we need to do, because even if we improve the technique, the technology, it won't be the full solution. We will have to reduce our footprint on the planet at some point, whether we like it or we don't. Or we do it consciously and it will be easier, or we will be forced to do it, and that's never a nice thing.
And of course you've photographed the ocean's beauty, and this first thing this morning we had the NASA astronaut Mike Massimino talk about the heavenly beauty and the emotion he felt of looking at the Earth. You feel the same from looking from the ocean up?
Yes, of course, that's still what motivates me to go there after 45 years of freediving. I'm still, every day I'm happy to get back in the water, even if it's bad weather, bad visibility. I always find something that makes the dive worth it. But it's a very similar approach that astronaut has as we freediver have, because we move in the 3 dimension. It's a very silent activity. Thanks to being silent, all the fish come to us. So it's a very immersive thing. But also, it's the ocean. We don't belong to the ocean. So to go there, we need to prepare ourselves, and we are welcome for a very short time. But it's not our home. So we are tolerated there. But at some point, we have to go back to land. We are land animals at the end of the day.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us, and I know that we're looking forward to diving for answers and your talk to the forum later today. Fred Buyle, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You've been listening to another edition of the Food Systems Podcast, brought to you by the Forum for the Future of Agriculture. It's been a pleasure having you with us. Please join us again next time.